Hey guys, it's Amber. So today I am obviously not ready, so we're gonna do a little get ready with me, and I'm gonna chit chat, give you guys tons of updates. Oh my gosh, so many updates. I know some of the videos I've just been trying to get through the content and not have big intros, and so there's a lot of stuff to chat about. So get ready, get a little drink, get your makeup so you can get ready with me. Let's just do this thing. So first off, I'm going to start off with my Cover FX primer, and then I'm actually going to be using a new foundation today. This is the CoverGirl Outlast Active. I have tried this one other time and I really liked it. This is in 845 Warm Beige. CoverGirl recently went cruelty-free, so I'm trying to show my support by purchasing more of their products, and hopefully that sends a message to other companies that, hey, they made this switch and people are liking it. Their products are selling more, and then hopefully other companies will follow suit. So that's why I have been using a little bit more CoverGirl products recently, and I bought these all with my own money. I wasn't paid to talk about CoverGirl or anything. This was just something I decided to do. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, you may know the answers to more of these questions, but for those of you who don't, I have had questions on why I'm in Utah. If you didn't know, hello, I'm in Utah. How long we're going to be here, how my mom's doing, how my husband's doing. So those are all the things I'm going to get into today. Also a little bit of mom shaming. Talking about schooling options. Some controversial topics, I guess. All right, so we came to Utah in July, and we were planning on returning back home in August. But my husband's health hasn't been too good. And so we were kind of looking at options for us to stay here a little bit longer, because for those of you who don't know, he was in a car accident. He got a concussion, which he's one of the small percentages of people that his concussion doesn't heal like it's supposed to. It's just one of those things that I had no idea about until it happened to me, like so many other things. It's like, we kind of have our heads in the sand about certain topics, not because we mean to be ignorant, but just because we just don't have any experience with that thing. So they were going to be trying some new therapies, and one of them was going to be isolation therapy, where he would have no visual stimulation, no sound stimulation, no screens, nothing. And just for me, I thought, how is that going to be possible for him to do that with 3 kids? My kids are very good, but they are kids, and we are safe here. We're happy here. And I just thought, you know what? This isn't going to be forever. This is just a little temporary thing that they're doing. In the long run, it will be more beneficial for us, for him to get better quicker, and then we will come home and hopefully life will continue as normal. So I thought about staying. So after discussing it with my husband, we decided to stay here for a little bit longer. Now, my mom is doing really good. For those of you who don't know, she battled and beat breast cancer a few years ago. She is completely recovered. She is cancer-free. She is able to let us stay here. She has a home where we can all have bedrooms, and we are very close, so we get along really well. She's so happy to have us here, because normally she doesn't get to see us very often. So it's really been a perfect situation out of a kind of crappy situation. So that leads me to the next thing of well, what about school? Because my kids are starting school. And I talked to my kids, and I talked to my husband, and we just kind of decided that, instead of putting them into a school here where they'd have to start different curriculums and have those anxieties of maybe not knowing anyone, this bronzer and highlight duo I'm loving. I'm going to do a video on this stuff, a complete video, but this is Focular Beauty. I think that's how you say it. You can go ahead and let me know if I'm wrong down below. But this is their Sculpt and Glow. This is in their shade 03. And so we decided to do online school through K through 12, which, discussing that has been extremely difficult, because it's the internet, and I totally get that when you put yourself on the internet, that people are going to have opinions and they're going to share those opinions. But I also think that just because someone shares their life and their opinions doesn't allow you the right to be rude or condescending or to judge another mother's position. I know I hear that all the time. Well, you put yourself out there, so you can't expect other people to have opinions. I'm not that I'm not that person. I don't see celebrities put themselves out there and think I get to judge their life because they put themselves out there. That's just not me. That's just not how I roll. Whatever, to each their own. But I have learned, now I have 2 sisters who homeschool, so I am very well aware of what traditional homeschool is. Traditional homeschool is where you have ultimate flexibility, you pick your own curriculum, and you pretty much school when you want, how you want, anything you want to do. And that, to me, knowing how much work my sister has to do, knowing the costs involved in all the different curriculums, because this was going to be something we're probably just going to do for a semester, that wasn't something that I wanted to invest in. And just for my personality, it gave me a lot of anxiety, and I felt really overwhelmed with the thought of doing that. Plus, I wanted something to transition them back to their regular public school. Where with homeschool, it's like you either do homeschool or you don't. It's hard to like do homeschool and then, I mean, you can put them back in public school, but I just wanted their like classes and things to transfer so they would have regular credits for that. And so we decided to do online public school through K through 12. But like I said, sharing this stuff comes at a little bit of a risk because people have a lot of opinions and they're not scared to share them. You know, I've been told how it's not homeschooling. So don't say that I'm homeschooling because it's not. And don't say it's flexible because it's not. So I've heard a lot of opinions about it, mostly from people who homeschool. And here's the thing, is it doesn't matter if someone wants to homeschool or public school or private school or charter school. It really doesn't matter. And it really doesn't matter if you are for standardized testing or not. You have the right as a parent to pick whatever kind of schooling for your child that you think is suitable for them. And no one else can tell you that it's a bad decision because it's your child. I do have a problem with making other moms feel like they are making the wrong choice, or asking them if they know what they're getting themselves into, or just saying other kind of condescending comments when really it's not your place and it's really kind of rude. And I just kind of have gotten tired of that mom shaming community. And you might be like, oh, it's not mom shaming. Well, really, what is mom shaming? Mom shaming is making someone feel bad for their choices. It could be breastfeeding versus bottle feeding. It could be homeschool versus public school at home. I mean, I'm doing public school at home with my kids, so I'm not sure what else to call it other than homeschool. I know it's not traditional homeschool, but don't come for me for calling it homeschool. Like, anyway. So it doesn't matter whether you want to put your kids into a lot of extracurricular activities or you don't. It doesn't matter if you want to raise your kids with a religion or not. You are the parent. You get to choose. And you know what? People are allowed their opinion, sure, but like, we can't keep like tearing other moms down who are literally trying their best to raise their kids the best way they know how. And I just don't understand what the point of like criticizing someone else's choices if they're not putting their child in like immediate danger. I understand like sharing or making like suggestions like, oh, hey, have you thought about this? Or we had this, type of situation, or we had this experience. Is this something that you've thought about? Or, hey, just something to look into, blah, 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 blah. But like, really overall, it really should just be like the parent's choice. And I just get kind of annoyed when, I really get annoyed when people, it doesn't matter, not just like the school thing, when people make those kinds of comments to other parents who are literally trying their best. It's like, they aren't horrible abusive parents, they're just trying maybe something that's a little different than works for you. And every kid is different. Like, I get that some kids absolutely struggle with standardized testing. My son does not. He has excelled in standardized testing. He got 100% on his end of level math. Like, he has tested in the 99 percentile for his grade. So obviously public school has worked out for him. But for a kid who is extremely intelligent, if they really struggle with testing, absolutely homeschool should be the best choice, because that isn't going to give you a good fair measure of where their abilities are because they can't take the test. See, it's like not even about being for or against something. It's just allowing a parent to choose what they think is best on how to raise their child without the fear of judgment of other moms. I just think that we as women should be more supportive to one another. And the same thing goes for women that choose not to have children. Like, there is a lot of judgment for women who are like, well, when are you guys having kids? Well, why aren't you having kids? Well, why don't you want to have kids? And I'll admit, there's times that I felt that way. Like, I can't understand why someone would want to not have kids. Like, why wouldn't they? Like, my kids have been such a blessing. But you know what? Raising kids is hard. And I think it's probably better. I'm going to go into this monarch magic right here. I think it's probably better to be realistic with yourself and realize that maybe that lifestyle is one that you don't want to have, or you don't have the patience for, than to have children and not be able to care for them, you know, financially, physically, emotionally. Like, if you can't do that, or you don't want to make the sacrifices that takes, then you shouldn't feel forced to be a parent. I know these are hot button topics, but I'm just saying it like it is. I am just one of those people that, like, I will support you and cheer you on in whatever you want to do. And so I just love, like, empowering other people and be like, yes, go do it. That's so awesome. Like, I would never criticize someone for pulling their kids out and homeschooling them. I would never criticize someone for really any choices they would make parenting unless it was unsafe. And so it's hard for me to think, why would somebody want to do that to me? And, you know, I don't think people mean for it to be, like, rude. I think they literally see it as being helpful. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to save you from this horrible thing you're about to do. But that's the thing you got to remember. It's just because something was a horrible experience, just because your child had horrible experience at public school, does not mean that for every child, they're going to have that same experience. And I think that's what we need to remember, is that every kid is so different. And so you just have to realize that, you know, most parents, I say most because obviously there are some not great parents out there, are going to do their darndest to try to pick something that is going to make the most out of their children's abilities and support them as much as they can. Okay, this blue is totally bomb. Can we just talk about that for a minute? I am loving this blue. I need to blend it out a little here, over a little, blend it out over here a little more. I need to get some wipes because my fingers, like, I feel like I can't do anything else, so let me wipe this off real quick. So there's like two ways to look at life, I guess. There's one where you just do what you want to do and you don't care and you don't share anything with anyone else and you just do your thing. And that's where I am usually. But there's also that part of me that's like, man, I feel like I'm going through this thing alone. I feel like I'm the only person going through this thing. If sharing my story could help someone else going through a similar situation in some way, like, I think that it's worth it. And that's a part of being on the internet that's hard, because you risk that exposure of people being like, oh, well, blah, 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 I would never do that, no, you know, all the negativity that comes. But there's also the positive in sharing and just uniting as women or as parents to be like, you know what, I've been through that. I understand how you feel. And maybe there's someone watching this that their kid has experienced bullying, or they have experienced some other challenges in public school. Maybe the thought of doing public school for you was really overwhelming. I forgot to do my concealer. I'm going to try to do it now. Maybe the thought of doing homeschool was really overwhelming to you and you didn't even know that you could do online public school. So maybe watching this for you will be like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. I had no idea. Like, you never know who you're going to impact from sharing your story. And when I shared my story about my mom's cancer, you know, I was really nervous to share it because it's just something so vulnerable. But like, so many of you reached out to me with your stories about your parents or your own experience with cancer. And it literally helped me so much, just feel like I wasn't alone. And so although I hesitate to share like what I'm doing with schooling and why I'm living here, and I know there's people who are like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why would you live somewhere else away from your husband? Why wouldn't you want to be there to support him? But it's just hard because you just don't know the situation. It's easy to judge what somebody else would do. But until you've really, really been there, it's hard to say. I mean, I know people who, and I probably would have too, said, well, I would never do that. Well, you just don't know. You don't know if you would ever do something until you're there in that situation. And that's why it's just better for us not to judge other people, because we just don't know what they're going through. And just like have compassion and know that, you know, they're trying the best they can. So I got this little sparkly stuff in my Korean beauty box, and I'm going to put a little bit of this on. It's kind of a nice pearlescent. I thought it'd be fun to put kind of in the middle of my lid. But really, all of my ranting and raving comes down to one simple thing. You don't have anything nice to say, just don't say anything at all. I know this is a hard concept, but we really don't honestly have to share our opinion on everything all the time. And just because someone shares something on their page or their Instagram or their YouTube, doesn't mean that you have to agree with them, and it doesn't mean you have to convince them otherwise. I just feel like sometimes, we get so separated as humans because we don't agree on something, and so we feel this need to force this other person to just see it our way. But the bottom line is it really doesn't matter. Especially when it comes to issues when they really have no to little effect on you and your life. It's like, okay. But yeah, my getting back to the topic at hand, that's why we decided to stay in Utah. So I feel like with this blue, it is one of those shadows that you put it on and it looks really vibrant, and then it starts to transfer a little bit. It'll lose a little bit of its vibrancy, so then you add more, and then you try to blend it out, and then it kind of grows. So this is the current situation of the blue. It's traveled to be more intense and more blue than I originally intended. I feel like it does kind of move around a little bit. So, I don't know. I think I'm struggling a little bit with it. I think it's really pretty, but I think a little goes a long way. But at the same time, you kind of have to put on more than you think because it tends to settle and lose some of its vibrancy. I'm just kind of cleaning up these edges here. I need to do my eyebrows. But overall, I do really like it. It's just one of those things that you start out and you're like, I'm just got a little on the lid, and then it started to transfer up, and then I kind of tried to fix it and blend it, and it's like, it is what it is. It happens. If I didn't mention, this is the lovely cookie blusher I also got in that Korean beauty box. It's so cute. And I'm going to put on this highlighter from this Sculpt and Glow palette. I adore this highlighter. And I'm not going to forget my eyebrows. I know I haven't done them yet. At least they're not terribly shaped like they were last time. You're welcome. So, in a nutshell, that's pretty much how I've been doing, how I've been feeling. Is it hard to be here away from my husband? Of course. I miss him. My husband is my best friend. Before he had his injury and he had so many limitations, and even when he has good days where he does feel good, we genuinely enjoy doing things together. And so, yeah, it's hard. It's hard on my kids, but, I'm in a really supportive place where I have my family, I have my mom with me, and, if you have to go through this time where your spouse is going through a treatment program or something that requires them to be away from you for a time, you might as well be with your family and have the support you need, because it gets old being a solo parent all the time. I don't say that I'm a single parent because I don't have the sole responsibility of taking care of them, but I do say I'm a solo parent because I am taking care of them mostly on my own because, my husband is not here assisting me with that. And it's hard to be the one to make those big decisions, and at the end of the day, you're tired and it's just you. And so it is nice to have my mom here, my family here, and the kids' cousins, and, be able to see our old friends and those kinds of things while we're going through this, situation and try to make the best out of it, essentially. Some people have asked, oh, well, is your husband okay? Yes, he can take care of himself. I'm not abandoning him where he's, can't take care of himself. He does just fine. He can cook his own food and stuff. And he's capable of taking care of himself. It's just that he doesn't have the ability to, do much more beyond, that. As far as, handling all the kids and everything. So... But he, we all want him to get better, and we hope and pray that, these new things they're doing are going to continue to help him. I have seen some improvement already, And so I am hopeful that, you know, I know this was the right choice, because regardless of what people think, like, you have your own intuition, you have your own gut feelings, you have your own faith in things, and I know this was the right choice. And so I know we just have to kind of go through the process, as hard as that is sometimes. You just kind of have to get through it. But, you know, something that's really helped me is, you know, I've been doing fitness coaching, and I did have a comment on my Instagram, and she is a follower. So if you're watching here, I don't have your username, but hi. If you were the one who commented this about my coaching and asking if it was for Beachbody, or like why I don't mention it. And so I was just like, oh, I guess I haven't, you know, mentioned enough that I do coach that's through Beachbody. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you probably know that, but I don't talk about it all the time, because I figure some of you guys are interested in it and some of you aren't. And that, like, having something to do besides just being a mom, and I don't say just because it's like not important, but I mean something else that I enjoy, and helping other people, it has been life-changing for me. Obviously, you guys have seen the transformation I've made in my own body, but like, getting yourself in a right mental state is so important, and having a good routine and putting yourself first has been so essential to me during this whole process. It's the way I've been able to keep my head above water. I am someone who struggles with anxiety, and I'm also somebody who's had times in my life that I have been very depressed and had to struggle keeping myself in a good place. It is something that I'm mindful about. Sorry, I was looking for the right lip color. So this is another one of the Bite Beauty lipsticks, the Whipped Liquid Lip. This is in the color Whip. You know, but for me, diving into fitness, diving into that whole world literally has been a lifesaver for me. It's like, it's interesting because so many times I get messages from people who I might not even be working with personally, who have said like that I've inspired them, or I've helped them, or I've motivated, but like, they don't realize how much they've helped and inspired and motivated me. And so it has just been something that really helped me, because there's days that I didn't feel like showing up. There's days that I didn't feel like getting out of bed, especially last fall. I was in such a bad place. And then it was amazing how many of you guys saw that I was getting in a better place. You could see and remark like, Amber, you look so much better and happier. And to me, having the accountability of having to get up and be that light for other people made me find that light for myself. And it really makes me sad when I hear people that are like, oh, I signed up with someone so, and then they like literally didn't ever talk to me again, or they didn't help me with that. And that's not how I roll. If you follow me, you'll know that I am just all about helping people. That's what drew me to this, that I enjoy it. And it's been such an inspiring thing to me. And I know people are like, oh, there's so much negative, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that's fine. If other people don't like it, if they have a negative experience, they don't have to do it. It's not for everybody, but for me, coaching has literally helped me out of one of the darkest times in my life, given me something to be excited about, and totally gave me a rocking body. So can't be too mad about that. So that's pretty much the summary of where I'm at and what's going on. I'm hopeful for the future. I feel like things are on the uphill. I'm doing well, and it makes me so happy when you guys say things like, oh, you look so happy you're doing this. And like, I really am. I really had to dig deep and to find that happiness that comes from within, to being happy with who I am and myself and the decisions I make, and not let so much of those negative influences or other people's opinions affect me. Because I used to be the kind of person that if someone didn't agree with me, if somebody didn't like what I was doing or didn't approve, it like made me feel so self-conscious, or I felt really down. And now I'm just like, you know what, girl, you got to do you. And if people don't like it, then they don't have to follow. And that's basically where I'm at. It's like if people, you know, follow me on Instagram and they don't like it and they want to unfollow, it's like, well, you know, that's your free right. I'm here putting out the content that makes me happy. I hope to share with other people. I hope to give people content that they're interested in. But, you know, I mean, there are people in this world that don't like French fries. So that being said, if there is some more fitness related content that you guys would like to see on my channel, let me know. Thank you so much for joining me with this Get Ready With Me. Hope you guys liked this finished look with the blue. I really enjoyed it, even though it was a little tricky to work with. I think the overall look turned out really nice. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!